Hi, in this video I'm going to discuss about one of the experiment in heat transfer lab, that is heat transfer through lagged pipe. In this lagged pipe apparatus, we're going to delay the rate of heat transfer from the hot body by insulating with different layers. Why we want to delay the rate of heat transfer from an object? Let me explain with an example. Let's imagine I have a beaker of hot water. I want to maintain the hotness in the water same for prolonged time. So what I supposed to do? I should stop the heat energy leaving from the hot water to the surrounding. But as per the law of thermodynamics, energy always flow from higher temperature to the lower temperature. So in this case, we cannot stop the heat transfer, but we can delay the rate of heat transfer. So hope you understand that we are going to delay the rate at which the heat is going to leave the hot coffee or hot water what we have in our beaker. So what we usually will do, we'll try to insulate the container. So we'll go for hot box or something. Why we are insulating the system? We are insulating the system so that the rate of heat transfer from the hot object is delayed so that we can get the hotness for prolonged time. The effect of insulation material and its thickness and the nature of material can be understood by simple experiments. For studying that only, this particular experiment, that is lagged pipe apparatus, is designed. In this lagged pipe experimental apparatus, a metal rod is heated by applying electrical potential across it. You can see the right hand side of the equipment, two displays. One is for displaying the voltage and other is for displaying the current. By rotating this knob, the amount of power input given to the heater rod can be varied. You can see by rotating this, we can see the voltage and current accordingly varies. Once we set the required power input, the system will start slowly getting heated off. We will explore each and every part of this particular equipment while we doing the experiment. When we apply the electrical potential, the heater rod slowly gets heated. By giving a constant potential across the electrical rod, the heat generated inside the rod can be maintained in a constant way. Once the heater rod temperature increases, now this hot object starts dissipating heat energy across it. To reduce the rate of heat transfer from the metal rod, two layers of insulation is provided in this experimental apparatus. The first layer is made up of sawdust and the second layer is made up of magnesium oxide. The heat from the metal rod is travel across the insulation layer and come out at the heat transfer rate mentioned by the letter Q layer 1. The heat transfer rate which will be mentioned for the layer 2 is QL2. This whole assembly is kept inside this orange chamber. The diameter of the metal rod, insulation layer 1 and layer 2 are given in this particular sticker as pasted on the equipment. Once the system attained a steady state, the temperature will be constant almost across each layer. So each layer are named accordingly by THR, TL1 and TL2. In this particular equipment, to find the temperature of metal rod and the insulation layers, two thermocouples are provided for each layer. In a typical experiment, after providing the voltage, the heater rod will start getting heated. To identify the system attains steady state or not, we have to follow up the thermocouple temperatures. For that, a table is drawn with the time and each thermocouple readings. T1 and T2 stands for metal rod temperature, T3 and T4 is for insulation layer 1 and accordingly T5 and T6 for insulation layer 2. The thermocouple readings can be read from this particular display by adjusting this knob. When you turn the knob and provide the corresponding number, you can see the corresponding thermocouple temperature in this particular digital display. After giving the power input, the time at t is equal to 0 reading to be taken for all the 6 thermocouples. So once by turning this knob, thermocouple readings can be taken down, we have to wait for next 5 minutes for the next set of readings to identify whether the system is attained steady state or not. From the 5th minute reading, we can see that the difference between the thermocouple readings in 0th minute and 5th minute is very high. So the system is still getting heated up. In the 10th minute reading, we can see that the difference between the 5th minute reading and the 10th minute reading is minimal. Still, we have to take another set of reading to identify whether the system is attained steady state or not. Now we can understand that the temperature difference between 10th minute reading and 15th minute reading is almost nil. Now we can confirm that the system attained steady state in this experiment. As we seen in the previous slides, the T1 and T2 stands for the temperature of metal rod, and T3 and T4 for layer 1 and T5 and T6 for layer 2. Now we have to average this temperature to find the average temperature of the each layers. So now we can see that the heater rod temperature is 54.5 degrees Celsius. As like that, we got the temperature for other layers also. Now we got the voltage input and the current input from the particular digital board, and we got the steady state temperature for each layers, and the specification of the metal rod, that is size and length, is given in the data. Now using this, we can go with our procedures. The heat generated in the rod can be identified using the formula Q is equal to V into I. That is, voltage and current can be multiplied to get the power input, that is the heat Q. At steady state, the heat transfer across each layers is same. Hence, we can equalize all the heat transfer equations. Now, when we calculate the Q value, that will be the same for QL1 as well as QL2. As per the Fourier's law of heat conduction, the heat transfer rate across a cylindrical object can be given by this formula. It has been written for layer 1 and layer 2. As per the objective of this experiment, we have to calculate the thermal conductivity of the layer 1 and layer 2, that is K1 and K2. So we have to rearrange this equation in such a way we are able to calculate K1. Now let's look at the equation 1, that is for K1. So we already calculated heater rod temperature and layer 1 temperature, and in the denominator length of the pipe is already we have here. Then the Q we have to calculate. Then radius of R1, R2 we already have here. We have the length and the radius of the metal rod. Q can be calculated by multiplying voltage and current. So the voltage is 48 and the current is 0.269 amps. Multiplying the both, we will get the value for the heat input. On substituting the available data in the equations, we will be able to calculate the thermal conductivity of the layer 1 and thermal conductivity of the layer 2. And that's how we find the conductivity of the each layer in the lagged pipe apparatus. Thank you.